Hello, Seek Faithfully family. I am so excited to be back here with you guys. It's been about a month and a half that I have taken a break from Seek Faithfully. I was living in a season of discouragement and I couldn't find the right words or the right information to share. And so I sat in patience. I sat alone. I sat with people that supported me in all of this to try to figure out what the next steps were. And I realized I'm not the only one that gets discouraged. I'm not the only one that is constantly fighting a battle of the what if or looking into the future and assuming one thing when it could possibly be another. And so I wanted to come today to share this message with you and hopefully encourage you to step out and change your discouragement to courage and to lean on to God's strength instead of your own. So I want to open up. I'm so glad you're here, first of all. I want to open up with a Bible verse that is really um always sat with me. I love the book of Deuteronomy. It is one that I love to read and it's one that I love to study. And so we are going to read Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Don't be terrified or afraid of them. For the Lord your God is the one who will go with you. He will not leave you or abandon you. So, in a moment of discouragement, know you're not alone. The opposition likes to get us and make us feel like we are isolated and we are alone. But God is saying the opposite. That is when He is with us the most. He is always with us, but in discouragement, He really shows up. And we have to be courageous by not letting us be so terrified. So I want to go back and it says, be strong and courageous. And if people were to tell me that in my moment of discouragement, I would be like, what does that mean? I can't. That's why I'm where I am. So I kind of want to break that up a bit. When you think of discouragement, if we Google the definition, it reads loss of confidence or enthusiasm. That's what discouragement is. We get to this level of, I'm confident, I know this thing, I can do this thing, and it's all of a sudden second guessing ourselves. For me, the lies started kicking in. The lies of, I'm not good enough, you don't have enough knowledge. Why would anyone want to learn from you? Those were the lies I was believing. Those lies slowly crept in and took away the confidence and the enthusiasm I had to lead Seek Faithfully, especially when I'm doing this work alone. I have people I call for ideas or if I'm checking in to make sure I'm on the right path with a message. And if I'm not in constant communication with somebody, I'm alone in this business. And so automatically I'm already fighting that. And when those lies creep in, there's no one there to tell me those aren't true. And so the lies begin. When the lies begin, you go from encouragement to discouragement and fear. That's what these lies are. It's fear of stepping out to do the thing, whatever the thing is for you. It stops you. And you begin to think, what if I fail? What if I share the wrong information? What if I'm not liked? What if someone says a bad comment? What if? And we live in this what if world, which then leads us from fear to anxiety, because that's what anxiety is looking into the future and assuming the worst. Instead of looking into the future and saying, what if it's great? What if God shows up? What if God builds my testimony? Instead of living in that what if of a beautiful future, we live in that fear and anxiety of, oh no, I'm looking into the future and I see people coming after me, rude comments. I see myself not knowing the information or how to respond to people. And so all of that is predicting a scene that's not even there yet. We are assuming the worst before we even give ourselves a chance. And so as I sat here and I knew these things and I journaled them and I kept asking God, why? Why do we fear these things? Why do we question ourselves? Why does the enemy come and try to attack us when we are doing so well and we are really trying to walk in obedience? Why does he show up? And the best thing or the best way I can explain it is what I heard as I was journaling this and wrestling with God in this season is that the enemy wants to take us down automatically. With every good, there's bad. With every light, there's darkness. And so when you're doing good work and you're trying to encourage others, the opposition comes and fights that. And it attacks where we are weak. For me, I know my weakness is isolation. I know my weakness is second guessing myself and sitting in the what if in a negative way. I'm such a positive person. I can encourage others and I'm great. But if you get me alone, I'm like, oh, what if that doesn't work out the way I was hoping? I question it. And so the enemy knew that and attacked. So I called it out. I said, this is my weakness. But God, I don't want to live in my weakness. Help me lean on your strength and not my own. And I didn't know what that meant. What did it mean to lean on God's strength? And so I sat there and I was like, God, I know how to say the right words. I know what you're looking for, but I don't know what that looks like. Can you show me? And I remember clearly going through life, and life has been messy. And we had a situation come up in our family, and I was like, whoa, I don't know how to react to that. So I sat there and thought about it, and I listened, and I was like, okay, the best way I know how to react right now is to put it in the hands of God. So I stopped, I prayed, and I said, God, I need you. I don't know what to do. And in that moment, I felt a rush of calmness in me. And I felt this, I got you. And I went to bed that night. And normally I would stay up thinking about this all day and all night. And instead, I slept like a baby. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, now what, God? Can you show me? And so it was constantly just leaving it in God's hands. And I know if you haven't experienced it, that's hard to understand because I was there just a couple weeks ago. But leaning on God's strength means that you are willing to pray about it instead of worry about it. You are willing to stop and think before you just react on the thing. And so in that moment, I was able to say, okay, here are the facts. Here's what I know. Here's how I want to respond emotionally. Here's how I should respond logically. Now what? And so it was constantly communicating with myself and the Lord and just saying, now what? And writing down my feelings and the way I wanted to react, and then thinking, how would God want me to react? And so that really helped me lean on God's strength instead of my own. Because had I let it in my own strength, I would have snapped. I probably would have yelled. I probably would have gotten frustrated. There would have been tears. And I was just, my way wasn't working anymore. Those frustrations, those tears, those don't work. They didn't work. And so I knew I had to give it to the Lord instead of relying on my own strength. The minute I did, I started seeing God's work in my life and I started seeing ideas coming in. I started seeing myself in a new light and I started allowing others to pour into me and allowing others to come into my space versus myself just going and pushing that out. Yeah. In the moment of discouragement, I do want to say I tend to, when things get messy or like icky, and I don't want to be a part of that, I tend to do a few things. I either isolate, meaning I don't hang out with people. I don't want to see people. I just want to be in my room. I have a couch in my room. I just want to snuggle on the couch and just because it's right under a window. And I just want to be there with the sunlight hitting me and just saying, that's it. I just want to be here and do nothing. And it's not good. Sometimes it's good to rest, but that's different than isolating. And I was isolating. Or I tend to get very busy. I tend to load up my schedule. I tend to do all the things for everybody to the point where I get so tired. I have nothing left to give my own family, to give my home, or to give myself. And I always have to remember that God served so many people. He does all the time, and He can. When Jesus was here, He served the people, then He retreated and made sure He had those boundaries to come back and walk by Himself and go pray. He came back and took a moment to process everything that's happened and to talk to God about it. So if Jesus can do that, why aren't I doing that? He has way more power. He has way more strength than I do. And he is still having that boundary of walking away and being able to fill his cup up so that he can serve others. And so when I'm throwing myself in isolation, I'm not helping the situation. When I'm throwing myself in a world of busyness to busy up my thoughts and not think of the things I should be doing, instead I'm out there just serving others and running empty. And so I share all this because I know I'm not alone. I am not alone in this. And I want to tell you, you don't have to be alone. You don't have to live in a moment of discouragement where you do nothing. You don't have to do this walk alone. I strongly encourage you to take time to pray, to take time to rest productively. And that means not just going and sitting and binging a bunch of movies and TV shows, but actually resting and seeing what you need and doing a body scan of what do I need to move forward. So I say all these things to hopefully give you the tools that you need, but also to call you out on what is the thing that's holding you back. Have you honestly asked yourself that question? Have you honestly said, what do I want? What do I need? And then for me, I align it with God. Does that what God wants for me? Is that my selfish needs, or is that what God's calling me to do? And being honest with yourself, if you don't know how to journal that out with paper and pen, write a couple questions, doodle in your journal, and it'll slowly get you to open up a little bit. But being honest with yourself and being honest with God is the very first thing you need to do. Pray about it and then seek. Seek Him. That's seek faithfully. Seek faithfully in what it is that God is calling you to do and how you can get there with the right tools. And how are you going to get there with your true honesty? And how are you going to get there with your love? And how are you going to get there? What's going to encourage you to get there? And so seek people, seek a community, ask for prayers. If you need an accountability partner, ask someone to check in on you. If you need to just talk to someone, seek that out because no one's going to know you need something unless you say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I need help. And so I truly encourage you to seek a community that you can be honest with and go to and say, how can I move forward and move past this? I want to read another Bible verse that hopefully will encourage you. And that comes from Luke chapter 1, verse 74 and 75. We have been rescued from our enemies so we can serve God without fear, in holiness and righteousness for as long as we live. And with that, I just want to tell you that God sees you, God loves you, and He wants you the very best for you during this time on earth. And if there is something you want to do and you want to, that you dream of and hope to get to, but discouragement sets in and you don't know how or where to start with prayer and ask God to help you and lean on His strength. Allow Him to carry you, allow Him to walk with you instead of you trying to do it on your own. With that, I hope you have an amazing and blessed day.